So today, I want us to walk through 3 signs that the drift is already happening. 3 signs that the drift is already happening. Friends, I've seen this come up again and again. And I'm not sharing this to stress you out, but more so that you can notice what feels familiar to you and in your marriage. The first one is you feel slightly relieved when they're not around. Okay, I know that sounds harsh and that can land a little hard, but let me explain what I mean by that. And when you hear this, I don't want you to think, does that mean there's something wrong in my marriage? And because that feeling or me saying that out loud can make you feel guilty for even trying to relate to it. But that feeling of relief isn't about your spouse being a bad person. It's about what's happening inside you that has started to feel when they walk into the room. So let me give you an example, a real example. It's a typical weekday evening. He walks in after work. Traffic is bad. He's already irritated. She's been home all day juggling work calls. The house help didn't show up. The nanny is sick and dinner is half done. I mean, they're not fighting, but the moment he walks in, something in her just tightens. Like this weird, I don't know, like this anxious anxiety kind of thing kind of creeps in. Because in her head, she's thinking, he's going to notice the mess of the house. He's going to ask me what's for dinner. If I say I'm tired, it's going to turn into this whole big mess. So she becomes efficient, functional, careful with her tone, careful with her posture. And he, on the other side of the door, before he walks in, he takes a big sigh and he says to himself, he's just thinking to himself, I really don't want to get into anything right now. If she starts talking about the day, I just don't have the energy to listen or even to care. So he walks in, picks up his phone just to keep himself distracted, and so he doesn't make eye contact. He keeps it very surface level. There's no argument, just two people guarding themselves from each other. Now, fast forward. He has a late meeting one evening. He doesn't come home at the usual time, and she notices something strange. The house feels quieter, like less pressure, like she can move at her own pace. And there's this small, almost invisible thought that she said, thinks to herself, I can breathe now. That's the kind of relief I'm talking about because there's a difference between needing a break and feeling relieved that they're gone. The first one sounds like, I'm so tired and I just need an hour to myself. I mean, friends, that's actually healthy. There's nothing wrong with saying that or thinking that or feeling that. I've literally said that out loud in my own marriage to where I'm like, I just need a break. And we both get it because we do a lot of work and there's nothing wrong with just taking a break from each other. A break meaning like I'm not saying like couple of like separation or anything like that. Break meaning like a time limit, 30 minutes, 1 hour. That's it. Yes. The second one actually feels heavier. It sounds more like something about being around you started to feel exhausting. I'm not even sure I know how to be myself with you anymore. That's what most couples miss. They miss that difference because they just laugh it off and they normalize it and they just keep going. But if you slow down and actually listen to it, it's giving you really important information, not about whether you love each other, but about whether you still feel at ease with each other. So take a moment and ask yourself, what part of me feels like it has to work harder when they're around? What am I trying to avoid? Like you may think if I don't stay on top of things, I'll be judged, overlooked, or feel like not enough. And what you're probably avoiding is that feeling of not being good enough, being misunderstood or dismissed, getting criticized or corrected. Or you're probably avoiding a lecture from your spouse. It really could be anything. So take about 30 seconds, 20 seconds, to reflect on that for a moment. What is it what part of me feels like it has to work harder when they're around? And what am I trying to avoid? Now, this is really important because that relief isn't the problem. It's actually a signal. And if you catch it early, it can actually lead you back to each other before the distance becomes a lot harder to repair. So, sign number two is you're living parallel lives that only talk about what needs to get done. You only talk about the logistics, you only talk about bills, you only talk about the kids. So, can I ask you something? Have you ever sat next to your spouse at the end of the day? Both of you are just sitting there. Maybe both of you are on your phones, and you suddenly realize that you haven't actually connected like in a meaningful way. Like you don't even know how long it's been that you've actually spoken to each other about practical things, that you're probably talking about those things, but there hasn't been a single moment where you felt known, understood, or even emotionally close. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And that's what's hard about this. Is it's not that you don't care. In most cases people do still deeply care. But the way you're relating to each other has changed. And it doesn't start with something big. It starts with something small. Repeated moments that don't get repaired. Like, let's say that you try to share something and they get distracted. So you just let it go. Something hurts you a little bit because you're trying to initiate a conversation or you're trying to say something, but that your spouse is doing something else or is distracted. And it feels too small to bring it up. So you just keep it inside. You feel like connecting, but then you feel like, "Ugh, I'm just too tired." Yeah. So you tell yourself, maybe another day, I'll probably do this tomorrow because I'm just too mentally exhausted to even engage in this conversation. So each moment feels small, but internally something actually registers. So instead of addressing it, you move on. But you don't actually move on emotionally. You move on physically, but emotionally, you're not able to move on. You carry it forward. And over time, those moments actually stack up. It's like this mental account of all the times that you felt unseen or unheard. And this also happens because a lot of marriages slowly become a child centered marriage. Okay. I'm going to break that down. Everything revolves around the kids. All your conversations has to do with their school, their schedule, their sporting events, their future, their needs. What are they going to do? The only thing that you guys talk about, the focal point of all your conversations has only to do with the kids. And without even realizing it, the marriage moves to the background. Most decisions are about the children. Most conversations are about the kids. Most of your time and energy goes there. And slowly you stop relating to each other as husband and wife. And you start functioning more like co managers of a family. You're a team, but only in a functional sense, not like in an emotional one, because both of you are busy doing something meaningful, but you don't notice the loss right away. The marriage is being maintained at the surface, but not nurtured at a deeper level. And then years go by, and then your kids are going to get ready to take their exams and get ready to go to college. And the kids get older and they become more independent. And then couples, when especially empty nesters, when kids move out, couples look at each other and realize we really don't know how to connect anymore. Do you know how often I hear that from couples? They don't know how to connect because they only know how to talk about their children. Not because something went terribly wrong, but because the relationship was quietly deprioritized for so long. Friends, a strong marriage is not something that takes away from your children. It's actually what gives them stability. A strong marriage is not something that takes away from your children. It's actually what gives them stability. When kids grow up watching their parents connect with warmth and laughter and respect, it shapes how they understand relationships. But when they grow up watching two people who function well but feel distant from each other, that actually teaches them something too. I mean, we just talked about it, like paying attention to our own family of origin. What kind of model are we doing for our own kids? Remember, they're also watching what we had also watched. Even if nobody says it out loud, there's distance that is slowly forming. Sign number three. This is probably the most painful of all three of them. And it's you feel lonely, but you can't quite justify it. You feel lonely, but you can't quite justify it because technically you're not alone. I mean, your spouse is literally right there. You have a home, a family, a full life, and yet there's this weird loneliness, this quiet ache. And you feel almost ridiculous for saying it out loud. Like, why do I even have anything to feel sad about? I have it pretty good. But there is this sadness or this loneliness that you've been carrying. And that loneliness is real. There's a difference between someone being physically in the room with you and actually feeling known by them. Those are two completely different experiences. You can spend hours, hours, and still feel completely disconnected if you're not actually engaging with each other. So the real question isn't, are we spending time together? That's not the question that you should be asking each other. The question is, when we're together, are we actually present with each other? Or are we just sharing space? I want you to think about that for a minute. When you're together, are you actually present with each other or are you just sharing space? And like I mentioned earlier, your family history plays into this too. Like if you grew up learning that your emotional needs weren't that important, you might naturally deprioritize the relationship without even realizing it. If you were taught to focus on responsibilities, get this done, bam, 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 all these things needs to be done over feelings, you'll learn to do that in your marriage. If you learn to function without depending on anyone, you might be carrying a lot more alone than you really need to. So again, I want to ask and ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you felt genuinely and emotionally close to your spouse? Like in a way that felt natural and easy. It didn't feel robotic. It didn't feel like you had to do this and it had to be scheduled in. Like it was just natural. It was easy. And if it's been a while, what slowly got in the way? What is it that caused that drift? What is it that caused that gap? Pause and think about that for a second. Friends, I know this is super uncomfortable. I want to acknowledge that. And I know that there is pain in the room right now. But honestly, I'm just so glad you're here because you could have gotten all of this from a book or a podcast or a friend or even online or uh, AI thing, chat GPT. And yet you chose to be here in person and invest in your marriage. So I'm so thankful and proud of you for even being here. I hope you know that it's never too late to work on this, but you have to take notice and you have to move toward each other. Now, I'm not going to give you I'm not going to tell you what you need to do to fix the emotional distance, but I'm going to tell you, I really don't think you need that right now. What I think would help you more is just learning to notice and what to pay attention to. So, here are a few things to look out for in your marriage. And I'll read through them and give you a few minutes at the end to write down whatever comes up for you. First one, notice what you naturally turn toward at the end of the day. What do you naturally turn toward at the end of the day? Is it your phone? Is it the TV? Maybe work that followed home or each other? There's no wrong answer. Just pay attention to the pattern. What is it that you naturally turn towards at the end of the day? Next one. Notice how you start and end the conversations. Notice how the conversations start and end. Like, do they stay at logistics? Like, who's picking up the kids? What's for dinner? What needs to be done? Or do they move into what's been on your heart lately? What's been on your mind lately? How are you really doing? The next one is notice your presence. Like, are you giving your best attention and patience to work and to other people or to your phone and only give your leftovers at home? Notice your presence because your relationship deserves something intentional, not just whatever's remaining. And friends, just on a practical side, because I know we live in a busy city, I hate traffic just like all of you do. But sometimes, think about this for a moment. In those moments that you're in traffic and you're alone and you're about to go home, you're thinking about work. What a great opportunity for you to just stop and pray and just saying, God, I carried A, B, and C right now, and I'm about to go home. Will you help me to be present right now? It's going to be hard, Lord. I'm exhausted. I'm wiped out. I don't know how I'm carrying what I'm carrying into the room. But in that time, whether it's 30 minutes or 3 hours that you're stuck in traffic, take it as an invitation to just pause and pray over your own heart before you walk into the home. The next one is notice how you listen. Notice how you listen. When your spouse says something, do you pause and actually hear them? Or do you half listen while doing something else? Like this one is so easy to miss because it feels like you're present, but you're just really nearby. Notice how you listen. Next one. Notice the small moments that you're skipping. Notice the small moments that you're skipping. Something may bother you a little. Like, do you bring it up or do you push it down? Do you feel the urge to connect with them? And do you act on it or do you tell yourself, not now, maybe later? Or you're afraid that you're going to get rejected or you're afraid of how they're going to respond? So notice the small moments that you're skipping because these small decisions made over and over again shape the whole culture of your marriage. Next one. Notice what you've quietly stopped doing. Notice what you've quietly stopped doing. These are things that you do without thinking, like talking longer, sitting longer, checking in, laughing easily, watching a show together. Like, when was the last time that you actually enjoyed being together? Like, when was the last time you guys laughed? I mean, think about that. Living in a city together, like, we're so, I mean, it's sometimes even TV can be a distraction because we're thinking that we're doing something together. But when was the last time you laughed together? Like, I think I'm hilarious, but yeah, so did laughed right now. Good. So I make the jokes in the family, and I think it's important that you guys take time to laugh, even if it's something cringe and something silly. Take time to laugh and make it time for those things. And often, when we don't notice that we're not doing those things, that's where a lot of the space used to be, is with the laughter and the good times and all those things. So pay attention to that. And I think this is the most important out of all of them, is that notice what you've stopped expecting. Notice what you've stopped expecting. Have you lowered your expectation for connection? Have you told yourself this is just how marriage is and becomes after a few years? This is how it worked for my aunt and uncle. This is how it worked for my parents. This is how it worked for other people. Where have you lowered your expectations? Because that thinking, the moment you stop expecting closeness, is a significant moment. Friends, it's not acceptance, it's resignation. And those are two different, very different things. So notice what you've stopped expecting. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just scan through those notes and reflect on where you are and based on what we just heard. So pause for a few minutes and just think about it. I'll give you a little more time to think about that. Now, friends, if you feel like you recognize all of this, if you feel like you've already drifted, I want you to hear something. You are not too far gone. Drift doesn't mean done. It means that you both have just been surviving, managing, and holding things together. And somewhere in all of that, you stopped turning toward each other. And friends, that's not a character flaw. That's not proof that you chose the wrong person. That's just what happens when life gets loud and the relationship gets quiet. The fact that you're sitting here and that you notice and there's something in you, you know that little poking feeling in your heart right now that this isn't okay, or I recognize this, or this is really uncomfortable. Please don't dismiss that thought. Please don't dismiss whatever is coming to your mind right now because something in you still cares. I mean, you don't show up for a marriage seminar on a Saturday morning if you've already let go of your marriage. And remember, Jesus, this is the thing that I really want you to hear that is so important is that Jesus designed marriage for you to actually enjoy each other like real friends, to feel like you're on the same team, not just getting through the day. And it's not just about the two of you. There is a bigger purpose to your marriage. There's a bigger purpose to your relationship. But that starts with honesty, being honest about the distance. Just name it. Just say it where you are. But what you've been feeling, but you haven't said it yet. And when you do that, you're not on your own trying to fix everything. God is with you in it all. He's going to give you what you need to move toward each other. Don't try to fix it on your own. It's not going to work, guys. Go to Him, ask Him, tell Him that this is not working, God. I feel my spouse is okay, but it's me that's drifting apart. Or maybe my spouse is drifting apart, but I'm struggling and I'm feeling rejected. Whatever it is, it's okay to name it out loud before the Lord, confessing that out to God and saying, God, I don't want to continue this anymore. Can you not help me to have language? Will you put words in my mouth because this is really uncomfortable and I really don't want to step on anything right now because this has kind of been working for us and I don't want to rock the boat. That's not healthy. So I'm going to send you, I'm not going to send you home with a list. Instead, I'm going to ask you to do just one thing today with your spouse, prayerfully, with everything that you guys heard today, whether you take notes or not. When you go home, it's not a big conversation, it's not a confrontation. Just find a moment. Like maybe after when the kids are out or down, or when they're playing outside, or when the noise just settles at home, and say something honest to your spouse. It could be as simple as, I miss you. I miss us. I feel like we've been distant. That's it. And honestly, I know that can feel really uncomfortable and awkward for a lot of people. And if that feels too big or a little awkward, try this instead. You don't have to say anything heavy, just sit near them. Maybe after dinner, maybe even after the house finally gets quiet. Not a formal conversation. Don't make it weird. Not a serious talk, just a simple moment. And say something like, can we just sit here for a few minutes? Or I feel like we haven't really spent time together lately. Or even, life has been so busy. This is probably a good line to break the ice and to make it less awkward is by saying, life has been so busy. I think we kind of missed each other. And you both are here, so you can say it to each other to know that that's the line that you're using to diffuse the awkwardness right now. For a lot of us, this does not come naturally. We were not raised to say these things openly. It can feel awkward and it can honestly even feel unnecessary. But distance in a marriage doesn't usually come from one big thing, like we've been talking about this whole time. It comes from all those small moments where we stopped reaching out. You still have time, friends. It's never too late. But time doesn't fix the drift on its own, intention does. And I want to end it by reminding you again, your marriage doesn't rest on your ability to get it right every time. It rests on a good and holy God who moves towards us, even when we have drifted away from Him. When we were distant, Christ came near us. When we were disconnected, he made a way back, not because we fixed everything, because we didn't, but because he loved us first. So as you take that small step toward your spouse today, you're reflecting on something way bigger. You're mirroring the heart of a God who restores, who pursues, and who makes all things new. And remember, once again, no distance is beyond his reach. No drift is beyond his repair. Because with him, there's always a way back.